Hey everyone, welcome to this process video for art journaling, and this is the layout that I'm doing today, or not layout. I've got to get rid of saying layout, but that's my art journal page, and I have got a Kaiser Craft stencil that I'm using here, and all I'm doing is putting a little bit of texture on the page with those little flowers at the bottom there. So what I'm actually using, the brand is called Acrylic, and it is an impasto gel medium. So it is a really thick gel medium, and I got it from the art shop, and it is used to stick things together on a page, and it also has very thick structure and is used to help your paint to be a little bit more full-bodied. You can use it for glazing, and I'm using it instead of texture paste because, you know, I have run out of texture paste, and so I'm using this. So in the art store, they weren't sure whether this would actually work. They hadn't used it in a stencil, but I had seen Wilna Furstenberg use it. And there you go, that's before it's dried, and there it goes after it's dried. And I'm just showing you my colours of paints that I'm using as well. So basically, I'd seen her use it, and so I thought, well, if Wilna's using it, I can use it too. So what it actually did was, instead of being like texture paste, white texture paste that stays white and it goes hard, this actually went clear on the page and went hard, but with a more of a soft texture, if that makes any sense. So it wasn't hard and stiff. It was sort of like I could poke my fingernail into it. So it's a little bit sort of like hard rubber. So you will see that in the end, when I actually rub some of this paint off, that you can see that the page actually shows underneath, which was a really cool look. So all I had done previously was add some Liquitex clear gesso to the page to prep it, to give it a little bit of tooth for the paint to stick to. And I'm using some fluoro orange, fluoro yellow, fluoro pink, and some magenta. So I felt like going bright and vibrant on this page. And all I'm doing is I have a little distress stain tool, applicator, blending tool, that's usually used for ink, to apply that to your page. And what you can't see just off the side there is me adding a little bit of paint to my craft mat, and I'm dipping my foam blending tool in and spreading it onto the page that way. And for the yellow, I actually run out of the little foam applicators, and I'm just using a makeup sponge that I usually use for art. So they work really well for blending things onto a page, because the makeup sponges don't soak the paint right into them. It actually just, you know, sort of sits on the surface a bit and allows you to work with it. So there I've got the blending tool back again, doing a little bit more of that pink. So all I'm doing is adding some colour, and I'm wanting the pink to be around the top or the edges of the page, and just having a splash of colour. So at this point in time, you know, if you follow my scrapbooking pages, you would know that I usually don't start with a plan. I just usually start something. I'm exactly the same way with my art journaling. I have not thought about what I'm going to do, and I'm just going for it. Sometimes it works for me and I get pleasant surprises, and other times my surprises aren't so pleasant and I think I should have had a plan. But that's okay, that's what I'm like. I get the urge to do something and I'm impatient and I just want to go for it. So here I am, I'm just, you know, trying to clear off as much paint as I can out of that little applicator tool. So I was just, you know, twirling it and squishing it onto the page a little bit. So I'm just heating up well, I'm not heating up, I'm just drying the layer of paint that I've got on my page, and now I'm coming in with a wet baby wipe and I'm wiping the paint off the top of that stenciled impasto gel medium, and and revealing, you know, more of the white flowers underneath the roses. So if the paint has dried a little bit more, I've just got a little bottle of water in my hand there, in my left hand, and I'm actually just squirting the page and then coming in with the baby wipe to take some of the colour off. So just drying it up with the heat gun again, and I've pulled out these Caran d'Ache Neo Colour 2 crayons, and they are beautiful water-soluble crayons and water-soluble wax crayons they are. So they have a beautiful property where once they're dry, they're permanent and you can work on top of them. But once you've laid the first foundation down and you add water to them, they are heavily pigmented and they move beautifully. So they're similar to a gelato, except for that they are much more pigmented and move, you know, more easily with water. So all I've done is I'm going around my page and I'm adding some colour where I think that it needs a little bit more, trying to add a little bit more colour to the page, and then just hitting it with a little bit of water and making the water-soluble crayon just blend into the page a little bit. So just checking out my colours, and I was going to add a little bit of teal, but I didn't like it. So at the moment I'm just going through and adding some of the pastel on top of the impasto roses and getting some of that colour to go deep down, embedded into them and onto the page. And you know, there is no rhyme or reason here. I'm just looking and seeing where I'd like to add some colour, and I'm adding that. So if you haven't seen a water brush before, I'm using a water brush. It is a plastic brush that is fillable with water. So the end comes off and you just fill it up with water and you just use it as a normal paintbrush, but you squeeze the barrel to allow the water to be released. And I love it because I don't have to use a pot of water on my desk near my heat gun and accidentally cause, you know, an electric problem or electrocution. And I can really work out how much water I want to use, so I can squeeze a tiny little bit or squeeze, you know, the barrel hard and have a lot of water come out. So I find for things like this, I really enjoy using this little water paintbrush, and think it's a really good investment. I think they're about between $10 and $12 for one brush here in Australia anyway. So yeah, I really like them. So now I've pulled out an assortment of stamps, and I'm just putting some texture with stamps onto my page, and I'm using an archival ink, and it is one that is permanent. So if I add water to the page again, that archival ink is not going to reactivate, and it's not going to go like mush on my page. Now I've jumped ahead because I didn't realize that my battery went flat, but the only thing that I have done different is I used a stencil and that same ink pad and have put some letters in varying places on the page. So I'm sorry that jumped ahead, but that's all I did. So I've grabbed some photos and I've stuck them down. So this is a art journal page, but you know who says that you can't use photos in an art journal? So that's what I'm doing. And I have just grabbed some pencils, and they are let's have a look. Just trying to find one of my pencils, and I don't think that I've got them here, but they are a graphite pencil. No, they're not a graphite pencil. Hang on a minute. I will find out and I'll be back. Okay, it's a charcoal pencil. That's the name that I was looking for. So all I'm doing is adding some black around the photos to help define the photos a little bit and give it a little bit of a pop on the page. And then I'm going around where I've laid down the black with this watercolor brush and making that activate so that the black isn't just a line. It actually looks, you know, more like a painted line. So I've just grabbed this white ink, and it is called Dr. Phil Martin's Pen White, and it is yucky stuff. I don't know what it's for. I got it from my art shop, and they thought it says it's for technical pens or airbrushing. It is really, really thick. No matter how much you shake it up, it's like really thick, almost like an acrylic paint. But it is so vibrant in white that it's actually really beautiful. But to use it just on its own, I find it really difficult, and it doesn't work for my purposes. So all I've done is put it in that little paint dish and actually just squirted it with water. And that way it thins it right down, but it doesn't take away the whiteness of the paint or ink or whatever it is called. So that's all I'm doing now. I'm just adding white to different places on the page. I didn't really like it where I had it just there, so just using a tissue or an old baby wipe, and I'm just wiping that off a little bit. So, you know, don't be scared to have a try when you put something down. If it doesn't work, you know, you can always take it off with a wet baby wipe or squirt it with a bit of water, and it will, you know, lift off again, and you'll be right. So all I'm doing is putting my paintbrush into that white ink, and I'm flicking a little bit of white around the page. And what am I doing now? I've got these, what are they called? H2Os or something like that, and I'm trying to make them work, but I don't know how you're supposed to use them. They don't really work for me, so I'm adding lots of water, but this color that I had wasn't very vibrant. I couldn't really see it a lot, but you know, it adds a little bit of different color pink to the page. So I haven't, you know, I didn't get rid of it, I just left it on there. So I'm just going to go through with some different spray inks and do some flicking with a few different colors onto the page. So I'm just going, my inks are just behind me, so I'm just wheeling my chair back and pulling them out. So I've got some Heidi Swap here and just adding a little bit of pink splattering to the page. Put it there, didn't like it, so there you go. See, tissue, and it comes off, and all is well. So just giving that a wipe down, wondering whether I should use something else. I think I actually got my heat gun and just dried it off. And then I've got these stickers that I had left over from the I Am collection. And so they're clear backed stickers. So I just wanted to add a little bit of black to the page. So I'm just popping a few of those down in different areas on the page. And I think very soon it will jump again. The battery ran out again, or whatever it is, it's just being a little bit temperamental, and you'll see that I have some rub-ons placed on the page with some words, and I will, you know, start rubbing those on. There we go. So I've cut individual letters out, and you know, just using them, rubbing them onto the page. So I'm using a scripture verse for this one, and using these, like I said, these clear rub-ons or black rub-ons. You don't have to watch me do all of it. So I've just got them laid on there basically where I want them to go, and I will jump ahead again in a minute to where I have rubbed them all on. So that's the magic of video editing. So there you go. Sorry about my head in the way there. My camera wasn't quite set up the way I usually have it, so you can see the end of my bench and me. So I'm just taking this pen, and it's a Pilot Permaball, and I'm just going around the outline of these photos again on top of that black charcoal, and just making sure that they pop so that I've got that black and the colour. And I've done some journaling. I did that off camera. And I'm finishing up with a little bit of black ink around the edges. So this one's just a what is it called, VersaFine ink, because I know that I'm not adding any more liquid to the page, so I don't really need it to be permanent. So just closing that down, and I'm having a look, seeing whether there's anything else I think I might like to add, and I'm pulling out some distress inks. I'm not sure what that colour is because my screen's really little that I'm looking at, but I'm just adding some script stamping to the page in certain spots, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking that it's done. I think that I'm done. It has stopped anyway, so I'm thinking that that must be it. No, always think that I'm done, but I was actually away getting some more ink out of my little stash. So this one here is a little bit of green chalkboard ink, I think it was, and just adding that to, look, just a tiny little bit amount. So not wanting to overwhelm it or change it all, but I've just added a few splatters, and you will see in the stills to come, and you'll see it sitting on top. So this has been my first art journal page that I have completed in probably 2.5 years. I had oodles and oodles of fun with this. I hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope that you have, you know, learnt something with me. There we go, look at that. See, that's that beautiful impasto gel medium with the colours underneath. That just works out beautifully. So like I said, I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you'll enjoy me. You will join me for the next installment as well, and I thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.